There's a lot of different kinds of people in the world, and there's a lot of different paths that people can choose. In fact, that's, I think, the one thing that people have in common, regardless of your gender, your geography, your generation. We all have an opportunity at any given time in our life to choose our path. When you think about choosing your path, you know what I mean by that. The choice that you make to marry a certain person, or to choose a certain career, or to go to a certain school, or to go back to school. We all have an opportunity to choose our path. How do you choose your path? What do you use to make your decisions? What do you do when you have a big crossroads and you have to go left or right? You have to go forward or back. How do you choose? There are some people who get their friends around them and they make decisions based on what their friends say. Some people, they feel like they hear a still small voice that gives them one direction or another. Sometimes people go to mentors and they talk to people who've been on different paths, and they ask them where they've been and they ask them what they've done. There's a lot of different ways that you can choose your path. One thing that's true about making big decisions and choosing your path is that it often involves having a vision for your life, having a sense of where you want to go and where God is taking you. And the truth is, oftentimes, whenever you make that big decision, when you choose your path, there's often regret. In hindsight, you look back and you realize the decision is easier to make once you've already made your choice. So how do you choose your path? You know, the Bible has a lot to say about choosing your path. All throughout the Bible, the ancient writers in the Bible recognize that those moments you have to choose one way or another, those moments oftentimes make a huge difference in the course of your life. In fact, Jesus talked very specifically about what it looked like to choose your path. Here's what Jesus said. Wide is the gate, and broad is the path that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But the road that leads to life is narrow, and the gate is small, and only a few find it. How do you go about choosing your path? Because you have choices to make, and there is a path that's marked out for you. How do you choose your path? You know, the Bible frequently uses imagery to talk about different paths that you can choose. It represents different paths of a person's life, different directions, and it emphasizes the importance of choosing a path and seeking God's guidance. See, key verses highlight the importance of trusting God, seeking His will, and following His word as our guide. Jeremiah 16:6 says this, it says, stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it. And get this, you will find rest for your souls. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask where the good way is and walk in it. It sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? But we know that it's not. Every day we face these crossroads on a regular basis. Crossroads, yes. Sometimes not maybe overwhelming. For example, some crossroads are really insignificant. They're not that big of a deal. Like, for example, this morning you had to decide, should I have a granola bar or should I have a cream stick? That's a crossroads. Not that big of a deal. Should I clean the gutters or should I play pickleball? Another crossroads, again, not that big of a deal. An extra 10 minutes on the treadmill can maybe make up for the cream stick. You can make corrections as you go, and the gutters will be there next weekend. But other crossroads are a little bit more monumental. Some crossroads are life-defining. Like, should I go to college or not? Should I propose to this woman or not? Should we have children together or not? See, when you have these crossroads, they oftentimes guide and they dictate your life. They change your trajectory. And then there's some other crossroads that isn't about changing your trajectory as much as it's about defining who you are as a person. Am I okay to drive? I've only had a couple of drinks. See, in the video, what I talked about was this verse from Matthew 7:13-14. And what it said is, for the narrow is the gate and difficult is the path that leads to life, and only a few find it. But wide is the gate and easy is a path that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. The path that leads to life is narrow and difficult, and the path that leads to destruction is wide and easy. That makes sense to us. Good morning. My name is Dan Owolabi, and I am glad that you're here. From everyone at Provia, welcome to the 2025 Leadership Symposium. It is such a pleasure to have you here. And for those of you who are here for the first time, this is the 8th time that we have done this. I'm thrilled that so many of you have come back again. We hope that today is rewarding, that today is inspiring, that today changes the trajectory of your life. I hope you enjoyed the music from Rick Michael in the lobby, as well as Walnut Creek Mennonite here in this room. Let's go ahead and just give those guys a round of applause. Wasn't that great? That was very good. Now, we're going to hear some great music from them later on today, and it's going to be a great day overall. But after a brief 2-year hiatus, we are back, and I'm glad to see so many familiar faces. For those of you who have been here for past symposiums, you'll know that this is a special event. This is something that we come to see our friends, to see people from our region, to hear great speakers from around the world. For those of you who are here for the very first time, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing this day with us. For the past several years, we've done a couple different things. We've taken our guests through a journey to help them understand what it looked like to climb the mountains in front of you. And we've even jumped out of an airplane in order to make the point. At our last symposium in 2023, the topic was foundations of leadership. We talked about how to build a strong foundation in our lives, in our businesses, with our families, and more importantly, with our faith. We encourage you to aspire to be like the great servant leaders of past generations. Do you remember Joe leading a tour group through the museum and having the opportunity to show them what it looked like to look at old leaders from the past, and me in an old dusty pair of overalls with a mop and a bucket? And if you remember, I told you that you didn't need an office to be a leader. You didn't need a fancy title to be a leader. All you needed to be a real impactful leader was a mop and a bucket. You see, the idea is that you need to be the kind of person who can serve people. You can get your hands dirty. You can do whatever it takes to support people, regardless of your position, regardless of your title. The idea is to lead by example, and don't be afraid to get in the mix. But now we're back down to earth, and the foundations are solidly in place. And so we are going to restart our journey. And today, our featured speakers are going to be talking about our theme. You see, each one of them has picked a path, a unique insight that they have on the direction they've taken their life in business and in life. And they're going to relate those perspectives to us. So you can be sure that each one of their paths is completely different. They are all very unique. They're all winding, they're all divergent, but they all have reached places of perspective, and they've reached places of peace. So today I encourage you to think about the people and the forces in your own life that you can lean on and that you can use to seek guidance as you pick certain paths and as you take certain crossroads. Think about it. When you hit those crossroads, are you inspired? Are you motivated? Are you encouraged? Are you influenced by your spouse, by your parents, by your friends, by your faith? In all likelihood, it's probably some combination of all of those. But at the end of today's afternoon session, we hope that you can reflect fondly on your own path, that you can really think back, and then you can realize the influences that helped you get where you are today, and you can chart a course for the future. Get ready, because today you're going to experience some inspiring stories. You're going to hear some people who give some candid confessions, and you're going to be encouraged by their words along the way. Our hope is that people will call you up to a new level of leadership. I remember one of the first times that somebody called me up to a new level of leadership.
a new level of thinking about myself. I was actually in second grade. It was this time of year, a long time ago. And I walked into my second grade classroom for the very first time. I was a first grader the year before. I was a second grader now. Walked in and was just so excited. Sat down at my desk, and my second grade teacher was different. I mean, she was different than any other teacher I had ever had. She was different because she did something that I had never heard anyone else do in my 8 years of life. You see, we all sat down and she said, hey, here are the crayons. This is where you're going to do your coloring. Here are the books over here. This is where you're going to do your reading. Here's the bathroom. This is where you're going to do your bathroom stuff. And then she said, this is the wall where you're going to memorize all the presidents of the United States. That's right. And then she just kind of went on and she said, hey, if you have an issue, make sure you raise your hand. If you have a problem, make sure you talk to me before you talk to your friends, da-da-da. And then she came back again. She's like, you're going to memorize all the presidents of the United States by Christmas. And I was like, really? I think she forgot that I was 8 years old. Some of us in the class didn't even know who the president was. A lot of us in the class didn't even know what a president was. And she was asking us to memorize all the presidents. And so I remember thinking to myself, that's impossible. Like, there was like 40-some presidents. Like, how are we going to do that? I don't even know my times tables. But then the next day she came in with a plan. Here's what she did. She sat all of us down, all 20 of us in the class, and she went around to each person one at a time. She sat by our desks one at a time, and she said, I want you to say the very first president. So the first person said, Washington. Then the next person just said one word, Washington. And then everybody went through, and it was Washington, 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 Washington. And that was it. The next day, she said, I want you to say the first and the second president. So we did Washington, 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 Washington. And then we came back and did Washington, Adams, Washington, Adams, Washington, Adams, Washington, Adams. The next day she came back, beginning of class, and she said, I want you to say three presidents. Washington, Adams, Jefferson. Washington, Adams, Jefferson. Washington, Adams, Jefferson. And she did that every day, slowly. And before you knew it, we were all sort of walking through the first president, Washington, then Washington, Adams, then Washington, Adams, Jefferson, then Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison. And then it was Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. What was incredible about that is that I didn't know in second grade that I could memorize all the presidents. I didn't believe I could do it until we did it. Isn't that true for you? Oftentimes, you don't know what you're capable of until somebody calls it out of you. You don't know what path that's available for you until somebody points it out to you. You don't know what you can accomplish until somebody says, I think you can do it. My second grade teacher was different because she was so confident that we as eighth graders could memorize all the presidents. And she believed in it before we believed in it. She believed in us more than we believed in us. And years later, I can say it without even thinking about it. You see, the truth is, we don't know our potential oftentimes until somebody points out the path for us. Today we're talking about what it looks like to find our path, but the truth is with leadership, it's about finding your path, but it's also about forging a path for the next generation, for the people coming behind you. And if you think about it, isn't that really what you want from your work? I mean, you want to make a living, sure, and you want to build an incredible product or build an incredible business, fine. But you also want to know, at the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow, you want to know that you're doing meaningful work, that you're doing work that matters, that you're leading the next generation in a way that changes their lives too. It's not just about you, it's about everyone else as well. Isn't that true? And the reality is, people oftentimes, they don't stumble into the right behavior. They don't sort of magically find their way. They have to be challenged. They have to be empowered. They have to be encouraged to take the right path. If you found the right path and you consider yourself a servant leader, then you and I have a responsibility to help other people find the right path as well. The Bible is full of examples all throughout Scripture of people helping other people find the right path. And one of the things that you'll find when you read Scripture is that there's this real difference between how people do it. Paul did it really, really well with Timothy. He made this distinction between calling people out and calling people up. Let me read this for you. This is in 2 Timothy 4. This is one of my favorite passages here in 1 Timothy 4:12. Here's what it says. Paul is writing to Timothy, and he says this. He says, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Did you catch that? He said, don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. He pointed out the fact that he was young. He said, there's no way around it. You're young. You have some obstacles in front of you, but don't let those obstacles stop you. The difference between calling people out and calling people up is the difference between recognizing that there's a problem. Hey, your behavior needs to change. Hey, there's something wrong here. Hey, you're young and people are looking down on you. That's calling people out. Calling people up says, you're doing something that may not be right, but I believe in your potential. You have some challenges in front of you, but I believe that you really can make a difference. Don't let these challenges stop you. You point out the problems, but you also point out their potential. Here's what I want to do for you today. For those of you who are looking to inspire the next generation, to show them a path, to call people up instead of calling people out, here's a phrase that I want you to memorize. Here's 2 sentences that I think can actually change the way that you lead the next generation. Here's the 2 sentences. The first one is this. I'm telling you this because I believe in your potential. The second sentence is, and I know you can reach it. I'm telling you this because I believe in your potential, and I know you can reach it. When you look someone in the eye and say, I'm going to tell you something that's kind of difficult to hear, but I'm telling you this because I believe in your potential. And then the second sentence is, I know you can reach it. What you're doing is you're saying, I recognize there's some obstacles in front of you. I'm going to point those out for you, and I'm telling it to you because I believe in you. I know you can do it. Look, here's the truth. You have found a path. There are things you're doing today that there are people around you just wish they could do. There's things that you've accomplished that people in your life wish they could accomplish. There's a direction that you're going that people wish they could follow. There's a pace that you're running that people wish they could run. And they want to know how to do it. And for you and for me, we have an opportunity not only to find the right path, to pick the right path, to go the narrow path, but then to find the people behind us and help them find the path as well. To call them up. Don't just point out the problems, point out their potential. Help them see that the problems can't stop them if they focus on the narrow path, and they can follow the path that you've blazed ahead. You can call them up to another level of leadership.